Hello everyone, my name is Abayomi. You're welcome to the part 2 of building a production grade REST API. So let's get right into it. So I'll create a new project by running npm init-y. This will create the package.json file, and I will store the packages that we need. Express, so we have Express, JSON Web Token, CORS, Elmet, .env, bcrypt, Malta, and Cloudinary. And I'll create a new folder called source, and inside source we create two files, the touch index.ts and server.ts. Then go back to the root. Then let's create our TS config, so we can have a central place to manage our TypeScript configuration. Then I'll do TS -init. So this will generate your TS config, or if you have your configuration like I do, you can just paste your configuration here. So I'll paste mine. So I'm using 2019. My output directory is dist, and my root directory is source folder, and so on and so forth. And I want to include every TS file inside the source folder. Let me remove this for now. Then while building, I want to exclude the node modus folder, this folder here. So let's check if our app is running by typing console.log, do hello world, like so. Then I'll do TS node. Did we install TS node? No. Okay, let's install that quickly. npm install TS node, and also let's install the types. npm install our types. We have CORS, we have our types, Elmet, our types, node, our types, express, types, I think bcrypt, zo. Okay, it's supposed to be dev dependencies. So this will come in as dev dependencies. Then we can run our project. So to run our project, let's create our script. I'll create a dev script and do nodemon. Let's do server.ts in source, then server.ts. Then for our start, I'll do node source should be inside the dist folder, because when you compile your code, it will be dropped inside a dist folder. Then you can pick your server.ts. Then we remove this trailing comma. Then in our server.ts, let's write our console.log. You can do hello world. Then if I do npm run dev, so we should have this hello world. Cool. Now the next thing to do is to configure our Express application. So we'll be using a class-based approach. We'll be writing OOP, class and objects. So let's create our Express app. But if you want to convert it to your functional or your procedural, you are free to do that. So I'll write class app. Then we can write a property called app, and this should return express.application. Express.application. Then let's bring in our express. Okay. Then we can do import express from express, like so. And it's saying property app has no initializer, so let's create a constructor. Type in the word constructor, then this, then we can say this.app. So this is referring to the current object, which is our app, then this dot app equals to express, then we create an instance of express like so. Then we can export this guy, export the class app by typing export default new app. So this is the class. Then we can target the app property there, so the class and the app property here. Then in our server we can import the app, so I can import the app by typing import app from the current folder from index. So we can import that, or just to be safe, you can do current folder then pick index like so. So we can let's create our server, class server. Then we have our ports. It's going to be a private property. Then the return type can be a number or can be a string. If you want, can be a string. Then it's saying property has no, like we saw earlier. Then we can create our constructor like so. So this, then this dot port equals to process dot env dot port, or we can have a fallback. Let's give it 7,000 as a fallback. So we have process.env. If we look into our env file, then if it's not present, then we have this double pipe, then use 7,000 as our fallback. Then let's create a method to start the app. So public start returns void. Then you can have app.listen. So we have app.listen, then you can say this.port, so the current object, then pick the property called port. Let me remove this port. You see that this guy is not highlighted at the moment, but if I target this guy, we have port highlighted, then we have a callback. Then we can do console.log server is running on, okay, let's use a string interpolation and ports. This not ports. It's correct. Okay. You can now run the server, create an instance from this server class. You can call it const server equals to new server. So create an object from this class, then you can say server dot start. So we are calling this method. Then we need to invoke. Then let's run npm run dev again. So I have something running on 7,000. Okay, let me change this guy to 7,002. So we have server is running on port 7,002. Cool. So I'll kill the server for now. The next thing to do is to create a else route, like a home route. So I'll create a new folder here, I'll call it else. In the else, I'll create a class. Let's call this home.routes.ts. Like so. Then I have a class here called home route or router. Then we have a public. We're using this public access modifier because I want to export the route directly from this home router. Then we have router, which should return router from express. Then we can have our constructor. Then I can say this.router, this property equals to router from express, like so. Then we can create a init route. So we can create a number of route endpoints here, like the get, put, patch, and so on and so forth. So I'll make it a private method, call it init routes. Then we can have this.router, this router here, this.router.get, because we said this.router equals to this router coming from express router. Then we have .get, we can also have .post, and so on. So .get, this is going to be our home route. Then we can have our request or response object here, but because I want to separate my concerns, I'll put it inside another file called home.controller, controller.ts. Then we can import, let's do class home controller. Then we can have health check. Then we can have request object coming from express. Then response object from express to. Then you can do return rest.status 200.json. Then you can give it a message of server is up, like so. So we can also export by just tagging the export keyword with this class, like so, or you can just create a new instance. Anyone should be fine. Then I'll bring this home controller. Let me format my code. So I'll bring this home controller, then I'll come back to my home route. Then I can dump it here, then import like so. Excuse me. Home controller, then import, then we can create another property. This time around it's going to be a private home controller. Then we have our home. So it returns this controller coming from our controllers folder. So when this constructor is being called, then we can do this dot home controller equals to a new instance of home controller, like so. Then we can say home controller dot health check, and format my code. Then we can also export like so, default new home router. Then we can target the router. Excuse me, home router, like so. So we created a router, then our controller to undo our health check. Then in our index.js we can mount this. So let's expose another method called routes. Call it route. This also returns void. You can see this.app. So we want to create our middleware to mount our endpoints.use. Then we have this. Then we can have our home route, like so. So we need to import our home route. I'll say home route. No, home route. Call it route or route. So home route. Then we can test this. So I'll open my terminal again, and I'll do npm run dev. Then I'll open another one here. I'll use call 7002. So it's saying cannot get. So we got this error because we need to mount in our index this route. We need to call it here. So this dot route, because it's a method. Also, we need to come into the home route. Don't forget to add that to this dot init route. This has to be called. Then our server is up again, 7002. I'll clear this second terminal. Now run. So we have message server is up and running. Yeah. Also, I like to have a folder for testing too here. So I'll create, let's call it client. Then I'll create one. Let's call this health check. Health. Then inside the health, I'll create home.http. Then we can give a get request against HTTP localhost, like so. Then it's 7002, so I can test quickly. Then we have server is up. The next thing is to create our configuration, like our express.json, so that we can send a post request from any external client, like your Postman or a mobile app. So I'll come to my index.js. I'll come here and I'll create another method called private. Let's call this config. Then returns void also. Then we can have this .app.use. Then we can have our express.json, like so that we not forget again. Let's just quickly put this here, this dot config, call this guy. Then you can also have this dot app.use express dot URL encoded. Then you can have extended to false, like so. What am I missing here? Express okay, we need to close some bracket. Then if you have your course and element, let's configure that too. I'll do import course from course. So this handles your cross origin resource sharing, and import element from element. This one is used for security. I think we need to import this. So I'll close this other terminal, close my terminal, yeah. Clear. Then I'll do npm install course and element, and npm install element types, element and add types course, like so. So the error should be gone now. Okay, string literal. Okay, this guy should be wrapped in quotes. And that's why. So we can also configure them here. I'll just duplicate this guy 2 more times. I'll call course, and this guy should be Ahmed. So you can read on this and format my code. The next thing to do is to write our exception handlers, our global error handler and exception handlers. So if I run my app again, if I run dev, and I come to my client side here, and I put something like KL, because we don't have this route, you should have a 404, but we are getting this cannot get. So I want to handle my 404 errors and my 500s. So I'll close this and open my activity bar, then come back here, close this, then close this also, then you can write exceptions. So let's write our HTTP errors, or error.ts. So we create a class, export class HTTP error, then extends from this error. Then if you command click, see that this guy is an interface as a property of name, message, and stack. So this is what we want to work with. So you can do public status code equals to a return type of number. Then we have our constructor. Then we can have status code of type number, and message should be of type string, like so. Then from the parent class we can pass in our message from this parent class. We can have our message from this class interface. Then where are you? Then to use this, I say this, that is the current object, the status code. No, it should be inside. This the status code equals to our custom status code. Then we can say this dot name equals to this dot constructor. You will see why we are using this constructor dot name. And in case you want to capture the error, you can use dot capture start trace and this dot constructor. Then let's create our custom exception code. So I'll create exceptions here, exceptions.ts, like so. Then let's import our http error from this guy. Then we can write export class bad request. So this for this we handle every 400 errors. Then we need to extend it. So the word extend means we want to inherit from a class. So we want to extend from our custom error handler coming from here that has the property of status code and so on. Then we can have our own constructor. Then we have the message. We can override string. So message will now be super. We have super so, because in this class it's expecting 2 arguments coming from this class that we just extended. So we need our status code and our message string. So for every 400 error, we should have 400, right? 400, and the message should be message. Then I will pick this guy 3 more times. So we should have unauthorized, then we should have forbidden. This guy should be 41. This guy should be 43, and the next one, let's undo our not found. Okay, not found should be 44. And in case you want to have method not allowed, you can have our 45. Then for conflicts should always be 409 conflict. Then lastly, our internal server error. So we should have our internal server error exception, internal server error, like so, and this should be 500. So we have our custom HTTP error that extends from this interface. Then we created our property. Then we have our constructor here. Then we pass in our parameters here. Then in our custom exception class that handles specific errors, we have for bad request, unauthorized, forbidden, not found, and so on. And you can expand this further. Forbidden should be 403, and you can expand this further. And lastly, we need to handle our global errors, like for not found, resource not found, and so on. So global error.ts. Then let's export this. Let me just a bit. We can have export const not found. Then takes in the request object from request coming from express, the response object coming from express to response, and of course our next function. Then you can have a flat arrowhead. Then you can say const error Nope. Error equals to new HTTP error that we created. TP error coming from this guy, and it's expecting 2 arguments. We have but gotten 0. So let's pass in our status code, which is 44, and the message should be like resource not found, like so. Then we can pass the error to the next one. So this is the purpose of this next function. So then we can pass the error to the next one. Then for our export const error handler, then we can have our error, which equals to be a return type of this guy. Then request, let me just copy from here and paste. Then we have our flat arrowhead. Then we open this code block. Then we can have our status code for 500. Should always come from error dot status code, and if not present, we want to do a fallback of 500. So to handle different errors for different environments, like the production environment or the dev environment, so we need to have a condition so that we don't expose too much information to the user. So I will do something like if process.env.node_env triple equals to, that is triple equals to production. Then we can have this. So rest.status. Then we pass in this status code coming from our property.json. Then we can have status as error, then the actual status code, then the message as error.message, then lastly stack equals to error.stack. Then we can have our else here. Copy this whole thing, copy, then paste. So this should be development, my mistake. So if we are on development, we can show this error out, but if not, let's just do null. So we don't want to show too much information to the user, so we just pass null. So we are in development, we show the actual stack trace. So let's mount this to, we have not found an error handler in our index.ts. So I'll come here. So you should come after your route, do another private method called undo errors. Then we have void, then this. So we can now say this.app under middleware use. Then we can pass in our not found coming from the global error. Then duplicate this guy should be error handler, like so. Then we also need to mount it here, so we do this dot undo errors. Before we run this, let's set our environment. I'll create .env, then I'll do node_env equals to development, and you can also have for production too. And in my index, in my server, let's just duplicate this guy and have process.env node_env, and lastly we need to configure that. So I'll come back to my index and I'll import .env. This should come first. Import .env from .env, then we can invoke this config like so. Again, let's look through. We have a bad request exception, specific exception handlers. We have a HTTP. Then in our global error handlers. So let's test. I'll come back to my so we are in development. Then I'll come back here and I'll fire this guy. So we should have status code of 404. Why do we have duplicates here? So let's go back to, let's come back here. Global error. Instead of error, let's just pass error in quotes. Error in quote, like so. Then let's test again. So we should have error 404, resource not found, and this is the stack trace because we are in development. Found at so and so on and so forth. But if we change our environment to production, let me change this guy to production and restart our terminal by typing rs. I'll come here and I'll come back to my client and I'll click on. So the stack trace is gone. We only have resource not found. So we've come to the end of this section. In the coming videos, we'll set up our database, then we'll connect to our database, we'll set up our schema and so on. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.